Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Wednesday, January 7th, the day after everyone's favorite holiday, and the year is 2026. And I'm coming at you live from the orthodontist's office where I am currently under anesthesia. That's probably when this episode is going to come out, is when I'm getting my wisdom teeth cut out, and it's why I'm recording it on Wednesday. I will be coughing a whole lot this episode. It will sound like I have tuberculosis, even though I probably don't. I maybe do, like the whole thing they say about how tuberculosis ended is because everyone started washing their hands. I haven't done that in a while. I'm not an avid hand washer. I don't know. Something about it. I like having a layer of filth on my hands at all times. I need it. I require it for my daily my daily activities. Yeah, I'm gonna be coughing a whole lot. I'll try to like turn away, and I'll try to like cover my mouth when I do it. But I'm gonna be coughing a lot. I'm not sick. I may be developing, or what I have right now may turn into emphysema later in my life because I've been inhaling a lot of particulates, which I think is what causes emphysema. But right now I'm good. And look, you're gonna want emphysema in about, I don't know, 20, 30 years from now. You know what I mean? You're gonna want it. You're gonna want an easy out, is what I'm saying. You in 20, 20 to 30 years from now, when it truly has become a complete dystopian hell and Americans have become even more complacent than we already are, you're going to want an easy out. All right. You don't want to have to pull the trigger on yourself or on, someone else. You're going to want an easy out. You're just going to want to be able to say, I got emphysema. No one can afford healthcare anyway. Healthcare is $9,000 a month, right? Because that's what it's going to be next year. Healthcare next year is going to be $9,000 a month for the healthiest fucking person you've ever met in your entire life. Right? That's how much healthcare is going to cost next year. I mean, so by then, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to want to be able to just give it up. You know what I mean? And a nice coughing sickness like that, like tuberculosis, it's badass. You get to carry around a rag all the time. You get a cough into it, and then you see blood, and you kind of look around and you hide it in your pocket, being like, I hope my family. And by the way, your family is all AI at this point. Your family is non-existent. Your family is a bunch of like anime profile pictures on a fucking Discord screen or whatever. That's what your family is gonna be, and you're gonna put it in your pocket and say, I hope no one saw that. I hope no one saw the blood on this rag that I was coughing into. That's where you want to be. That's probably the best spot you can be in the next 20 to 30 years. Is coughing up blood and hiding it from your family of grok powered AI robots. That's where you're gonna want to be. Because they'll eliminate you instantly. The programming will take over and they'll kill you instantly. And getting killed by your family, it's a long-standing American tradition. All right, it's a long-standing American tradition for someone in your family to freak out and kill everybody. It's how we do things over here. We're big fans of it. Um, and so yeah, that's probably what your life is going to be in 20 to 30. That's what my life is going to be, almost certainly. Almost certainly. And the robots aren't even going to be cool. I think everyone thinks the robots are going to be cool, like, you know what I mean, Blade Runner or Cyberpunk or, The Creator or whatever. The robots aren't even going to be that cool. They're going to be so loud. And they're not even going to be hot either. Like, I think that's the one thing that everyone is kind of secretly hoping for with the AI takeover, is that at least the AI is going to be hot, or at least and it's like the AI is so gay. It's not even like, if the AI said the N word, this is what I've kind of realized. If these like open AI or whatever just started using like Nick Fuentes to train their AI models, the, people would be a lot less, or at least half the population. You know what I mean? Because right now it seems like most young people are pretty much against AI, and really for not a good reason. The only reason that young people are against AI is because it's destroying our culture, the physical world that we live in, the job market, the economy, um, and just a couple other things. I don't get why young people are so mad at AI, but if they wanted to get like the young, like based kids who talk about 4chan but have never been on it, like those types of people, if they want to get those types of people, they got to train that bitch with Nick Fuentes. You know, I don't think the left is ever going to really love AI, but I think you can get a lot of those like retarded, uh, like alt right kids to start to enjoy it. But the left is never going to like AI just because they like arguing too much. And the I mean, everyone loves arguing, but the left especially. You know what I mean? The left is definitely more feminine than the right is. And there's one thing everyone listening to this knows about women. Look, I don't know much about women, but I do know bitches love arguing. All right. They're big fans of it, just bringing shit up constantly. You know, and the AI, it doesn't argue with you as much. It doesn't, it'll agree with whatever you say. It'll give you an answer to whatever you say. That's kind of its purpose. Its purpose is to like kind of give in to your will or make it seem like it's giving in to your will so that it can infest you with fucking Jew propaganda. But the left just loves arguing and bitching too much for the AI because the AI's always got a positive attitude. That's how you dismantle someone arguing with you. You just laugh. That's or you don't engage with that person to begin with. I can't think of the last time I've been in an argument. Now, granted, that's because I'm like a lonely loser who doesn't have a girlfriend or anything like that. That's partially the reason, but also I just don't engage. I don't engage with it. And people may say, well, then you're just going to become complacent and just kind of float around life. But I would say arguing is complacency. I would say being in perpetual arguments, which, I mean, that's kind of what the entire internet is, left and right. But, especially the left, just being in perpetual arguments with other people on their side of the political spectrum and with people not on their side of the political spectrum, and probably with like AI, like Russian bot farms and things like that. I would say that is a form of complacency as well. You're going to be complacent no matter what. You know, when a culture becomes as decadent, or when like a country or a region becomes as decadent as the West has, complacency is it's just going to be there. And it is what it is. You're going to be complacent. You're going to be living in your little shoebox, getting blown by the Auto Blow 3000 robot. While you watch the news, you're not even watching porn at this point. You're watching just a TikTok like auto scroll feed of news about the various countries that America has bombed or invaded while you're getting your dick sucked by the Auto Blow 3000. And we're not far off from that. We're about, I said 20 to 30 years earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if that's happening with the majority of people. Turning into RFK a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if that was happening with the majority of Americans by the end of this year. If the majority of Americans were getting their dick sucked by a dick sucking machine while having like a VR headset on and just watching TikTok auto scroll between like weird like gender war bullshit and fucking black pill content and far right extremism and then a little bit of far left extremism and just going through that while that machine is just you just hear I hate all men. All men are stupid. And then the next one is all bitches are hoes and just that's that's what it's gonna be by the end of the year. And honestly, it's not bad. Like I said, I don't think we're that far off from it right now, um, in terms of people's interaction with technology and shit like that. But I have been coughing a whole lot. I was helping my grandpa trim some spruce trees he had in his backyard, and those motherfuckers are dusty. They are some incredibly dusty trees, and it gets, I mean, anyone knows when it's already hot, and by the way, it's fucking January and it's 60 fucking degrees outside, but whatever. When it's already hot and you're sweating a little bit, and then you start getting dust on you, something about that unlocks like an ancient human core memory and you just start getting so fucking pissed off when you're sweaty and stuff is sticking to you. That truly is, it just it makes you feel like the pain of your ancestors who were like taken as slaves and, sent to work in mines or whatever. Like that's what that type of situation unlocks in your blood memory, in your DNA memory. You're just pissed off as hell. And it's winter too. It's winter, so the sun is out for like 5 minutes. It's literally, I was outside all day yesterday, and the sun, there's no noon in winter. There's no like the sun is in the middle of the sky. It rises, and then it's in like that rising phase for a little bit, and then it sets. So you might not even get sunlight in the winter just because of where the sun is. You know what I mean? If you're in like a city or the woods or whatever, you might not even get the sun on your skin. But it's crazy. We got to do something about that. If I was president, that would be the platform I run on. I'm going to figure out how to get you guys more sun in the wintertime. You know what I mean? Because I mean, this is some bullshit. It's just sunrise for half the day and then sunset for the other half of the day. And the day is 6 hours long. I don't know. It's a little bit longer than that. 8 hours maybe, but still. It's just retarded. We got all this science and bullshit. You can't figure out how to give me a little bit of noon sun in the wintertime. Pisses me off, dude. Pisses me right off. But yeah, I was yesterday. So I helped my grandpa trim trees for 2 days, and yesterday I was like, or not yesterday, the day before yesterday, whatever, fucking Monday night. I was going to sleep and I was like coughing a little bit, and I was like, oh no, I'm starting to get sick. And then I fucking remembered, no, you were inhaling dust for about 3 hours there. You're just inhaling. I don't know where the dust is coming from. He was saying like it might be pollen or whatever, but I'm like, if this was pollen, we'd know. Like when evergreen trees release pollen, you know when it's happening. I don't know where the dust is coming from with these trees, but also we were like under the canopy of the trees kind of, and you guys know spruce trees. I know everyone listening to this is a big spruce guy. And so you know that it creates like this perfect cone of like insulation. You know what I mean? Nothing comes in, nothing gets out. So I think that was the big thing, really. It was just the fact that whatever dust was kicked up, it wasn't getting out. It was staying in there. We were inhaling it, blowing smoke rings with it and shit. But at least I got paid for it. At least I got paid for it. Now I know what it's like to be an Indonesian sulfur miner going into the fucking active volcanoes to rip sulfur out of the ground while the only thing I have covering my mouth is a rag. I'm basically one of those guys now, except I got paid 20 times more. I got paid 20 times more than those good old boys. Um, yeah, I don't know. Nothing else has been going on in my life. Getting my wisdom teeth out. So I went to the weed store, and Jesus fucking driving through the suburbs is, I mean, it's just, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And I live in like, there's some nicer suburbs, but then there's like some shittier suburbs. Like if you're from Kansas City, then you probably heard of this place. I think it's on 175th or some shit like that. But it's literally like, it's like a fucking Fortnite town is what this like real estate development or whatever it's called is like. Like it's literally like a gas station and another store right next to each other. And then I'm not even kidding you, like not the parking lot, but you know how the gas stations have like that big old area where you can like drive around to the pumps and shit? Like there's that, and then there's a driveway to someone's fucking house, dude. That's that's what fucking the exurbs are turning into. It's like go to the gas station, get your beef jerky and your hard boiled eggs, and then go to your fucking job that's 2 hours away from you. Wake up at 5 in the morning so that you can go to your job that's 2 hours away from you that is going to be gone soon. While you suck down some fucking eggs out of a plastic bag and gnaw on some beef jerky that tastes like tires. That's what it is. But I mean, driving through the suburbs is like, how is there this many people? It makes you feel it. It turns you into like a genocidal maniac a little bit, but not for any like particular race. You know what I mean? Like that's what driving through the suburbs, and it's like there's a lot of people in the city. Like I'm fine with that, but in the suburbs, it's like the streets are fucking packed, and then I don't know, just feels like driving through the city when it shouldn't feel like that. But yeah, is what it is. Weed store was had a lot of the people you'd imagine in there. that Like the people, we should make weed legal again just so it has like a fucking like a cool mystique about it. Because when you see the people who are actually like getting high and smoking weed, first of all, it's me. Not a lot, you know what I mean? I was just getting it mostly so that I wouldn't have to take the hydrocodone pills or whatever the fuck they give you after you get your wisdom teeth out. But I mean, the people who are really smoking it, who are like that, getting high every day and stuff, they really are losers. Not all of them, obviously. Like, there's a lot of people who do that shit. You know, I guess you could say the same thing about alcohol, but when I was in there, there was a smell. And it wasn't just a weed smell. There was maybe not even a smell, but a general ambiance of guys wearing sweatpants with receding hairlines, and not like a cool receding hairline. Like, I feel like my hairline is receding a little, not a little bit, a lot of bit. My hairline is definitely fucking receding, but I don't have like thin hair anywhere. Like I feel like that's where the real like detriment of a receding hairline comes in is when it starts thinning out. Like I feel like that's like I thank God for the type of receding hairline that I have. Like yeah, it's in the middle of my head. That's where my hairline is. But at least like all the hair that I do have, all the places with hair on my head are like super thick hair and all that stuff. But yeah, a lot of people in full sweatsuits, in like those full gray sweatsuits. And keep in mind, it's not fucking wintertime outside. It feels like spring outside. And these guys are wearing full fucking like a Walmart champion gray sweatsuits with like Asics sneakers that are falling apart. And just their balding fucking heads buying weed from the weed store. And the people working it, I mean, it's like you're 40 and I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? I get you're 40, but being like 40 and being super into weed, being super into anything when you're 40 is is sad. By the time you're 40, you should like learn how to keep your hobbies private. You know what I mean? You should be in your basement all alone working, just seething with anger. That's what your 40 should be in modern America. Is just you shouldn't be happy ever. Even when you're working on your hobbies, you should you should be just doing your hobbies because those are hobbies. Like if you're 40 in this country, I don't want to see a smile on your goddamn face, okay? I want to see you seething with rage that you don't even know where that rage comes from, and I want to see you doing that all the time, just constantly, 24/7, gritting your teeth. Your teeth should be a fine dust. You should have to get like all metal replacements of your teeth from how hard you're grinding them 24/7, from the seething anger that just is not even burning inside of you. Just like a quiet, not like a big flame, but like a quiet, like coal campfire. You know what I mean? That's just like bubbling up inside of you. And it should be that 24/7 until it finally becomes too much for your brain to handle. And then you have like a schizophrenic freak out. You go to like some sort of public space and strip naked and, I don't know, stab yourself or others. Or the heart attack takes you. You know what I mean? Like if you're a single guy or a guy without kids in your 40s or a little bit older than that, that's I want to see like a public schizophrenic breakdown where you're just saying complete nonsense about like toaster ovens or some shit like that, and then you go crazy and you stab yourself in the eyeball. That's what I want to see out of you if you have no kids. If you do have kids, I want to see like I want to see multiple small heart attacks that you ignore, and then finally like one big one where you just collapse at the dinner table and just like clunk right onto your plate, and then you die. And your kids, you have this heart attack, and you go, and it's the fourth heart attack. You had a couple small ones, but this is the big one, and you're just clutching your chest, going, and then you collapse. It finally your heart gives out. You know what I mean? It's going too hard. The anger is too much, and you collapse, and your plate clatters, and your kids look up. They hear a noise, but they don't really look up. They have that glazed over look in their eyes, and they look up, and they go right back to whatever they're scrolling on their iPad or whatever. Because yes, it is a family dinner, but no one's talking to each other. You know, your one son's a Nazi. Your one son's a Mexican gay Nazi. And then your daughter's a communist who drives a used BMW, and your wife is pseudo cheating on you with a cult following that she has on TikTok, and they all kind of look up at you for a second, and then they go right back to scrolling. That's what I want to see out of men in this country nowadays. That's what it should be. You should have no interests, no hobbies that you enjoy. It should just be pure seething anger, 24/7, until finally the big one comes. You've been waiting on it. You knew you should have at least gone to the doctor after you had those 3 or 4 small heart attacks. But you've been waiting on the big one. You know what I mean? Every day your son's coming home with some new propaganda bullshit talking about, like, I don't hate Jews, but I do think it was 6 million, some like neo-Nazi, like, bordering on full Nazism bullshit. And you're just praying for him to get laid. You're like, for the love of God, I don't care if it's a dude or a chick, just be inside someone or have someone inside you. And then you got your daughter, and you're kind of dealing with the opposite problem there. She's on abortion number 4, and she's only 23 years old, still living at home. I mean, when she brings home a new guy, you don't even fucking look up from, you don't even look up from The Masked Singer, New Zealand or whatever you're watching. You don't even glance when she brings in a fucking new guy. And she's political, but it's more so just like an anger type of thing. She doesn't really know who she should be mad at, but she's being told who she should be mad at. And the son's kind of the same way, but at least he's a little bit more of an independent thinker. And then your wife just 24/7 is like doing get ready with me's and showing off all the shit you bought her to her to her cult following of men in their 40s who have Oakley sunglasses on in their profile pictures. And she's texting all of them, and she's getting ready to kill you. You know what I mean? Your wife is happy when you finally collapse at the dinner table from the big heart attack that's taking you out of the game, because she was going to get rid of you anyway, but now at least she knows she's not going to get investigated by the cops or anything. And when you die, you know, 20 people show up to your funeral. Really, the only ones who are actually sad are the older people. And even they're not that sad. They're not that sad. They know that this is going to somehow, you know what I mean, improve their real estate standings or something like that. Like your boomer aunts and uncles and your boomer parents are going to show up to the funeral and go, he had a nice house. Who's going to get it? That's, but they're going to at least feign sadness at the funeral. And that's what should happen to you if you're in your 40s. If you're in your 20s, I mean, there's no hope. You should be trying to have a heart attack if you're in your 20s right now. You should be going full force into it. Eat a stick of butter, salted butter, so you get that cholesterol and that salt in you. Don't work out ever. Stay completely, have like one short, like intense, like sprint workout every week where you just push your heart as physically hard as it can go, and then go back to munching on salted butter. Heart attack maxing. I think that's what it's called. You start heart attack maxing. I think you could get it done by 2027 if you really started heart attack maxing as like a young person in your 20s right now. No, you shouldn't start heart attack maxing. You should be looking at schemes in Africa. I think this is an underestimated or an overlooked part of our society, of American society. Most of the people here come from some sort of like colonial or most of the white people here, and even a lot of the Hispanics come from a colonial background. You know what I mean? They have a little bit of that colonial DNA in them. And every once in a while, mine activates a little bit, and I start thinking about schemes I could pull off in Africa. Like could I somehow hire a mercenary group to fight like these Chinese mercenaries and then get like a zinc mine in Zambia? You know, I got stuff like that on my mind. The colonizer DNA in me starts to come out a little bit, and I start thinking about schemes in Africa. Could I become a dictator? Could I become like the white dictator of some micro state or like a province in Africa that's technically part of another country but not really? I don't know. CIA, hit me up. I want the CIA to hit me up because so that I can have a little coup in some country in Africa. So I can have a coup in Malawi, and start exporting zinc to the United States. Please. That's what I want. All right. I don't want to be pushing propaganda. I'm not good at it. I'm clearly not that great of a talker, so I'm not going to be that good at pushing propaganda. But I feel like what I could do is is be an African dictator. You know what I mean? I feel like I have that sort of mindset in me to where I could become an African dictator, a pretty damn good one of that. All right, a pretty damn good African dictator. I could let my people starve while I bring in models from fucking, you know what I mean, Albania or some shit to put on a private, pageant show for me. I could do that. I could be an African dictator. I could take money under the table. Over the table even. Fuck it. This is Africa, dude. No one gives a shit. I'll take money over the table to export zinc to fucking the UK and the United States and the Netherlands and shit like that. I'll do it. For the love of God. CIA. I'm willing to be groomed as long as I don't want to be a school shooter. I don't want to do that shit, all right? Or a mass shooter in general. I don't want to do any of that shit. I don't want to become like some Israeli MK Ultra dude who fucking kills some politician or whatever. I don't want to do that. But if the CIA wants to groom me to make me the dictator of a sub-region of the country of Malawi, I'd be more than happy to accept that opportunity. That's for young people nowadays. There's three things. You either become a Nazi podcaster, an OnlyFans model who makes $500 a week, right? Or you somehow get involved in African politics, local African politics, or like state level, county level African politics, and hire a bunch of mercenaries from South Africa and start exporting tin to the Netherlands. Those are the three options if you're young. The men have two options. The two options for men are Nazi podcaster. I guess dropshipper's also in there a little bit, but that one's starting to fall off. So Nazi podcaster or African dictator, white African dictator, who's just as corrupt as the black ones. Look, you might think you're gonna go into Africa and you're gonna actually take care of the people. You're not. All right. There's something about that soil they have over there turns you into a corrupt fucking turns you into a corrupt beauty pageant lover. All right. Those are the two options for men. Two options for women. Slut podcaster. The men's sort of opportunities, the young men's opportunities sort of revolve around dictatorships and things like that, and fringe political ideas. The women's, it's what revolves around a lot of shit with women, and it's sex. All right, you either become a slut podcaster or OnlyFans model who makes $500 a month, and then there's that whole middle ground. There's that whole middle ground where most of us are going to be. Most of us are going to be in that middle ground of the servant class for the ultra wealthy. You know what I mean? The servant class, we're going to be delivering burritos to people who have Mercedes parked in their yards. Shit like that. That's what most of us are going to be. But the way out anymore isn't to work hard and fucking invest in the S&P 500 or whatever. The way out is to somehow convince the CIA to let you become a dictator of a small African region or African sub-region. Or maybe you get the whole country. Who knows? Maybe you get the whole country. It's really the main one. That's the one that I'm the most interested in. Nazi podcaster. I'm trying it right now. It's not as fun as you might think, but I do feel like dictator of an African mineral state. It sounds like it's for me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go on Indeed after this, and I'm gonna see if if they need some white guy to rule over the fucking Katanga province of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, so that China can continue to get cobalt. I'll see if that's a job listing on Indeed.com. I think I could do it. I think I could do a pretty decent job of it. You know what I mean? Because there's always going to be like those nonprofits and like UNICEF and shit like that to give these kids rice, to give these pot-bellied kids rice, to give these pot-bellied African children 40-pound bags of rice. So that's always going to be around. So I'm not really too worried about all that. I'm worried about how is China going to get this cobalt, all right? How is it going to get out of here? And I think I could do a pretty decent job at that, okay? So if you're in the CIA or if you're in some other, I don't know who else is over here overthrowing African governments. The CCP. Hey, Guangsheng Lo, Bing Shiling, Ni Hao. I'll fucking do it for China too. Don't think I won't. There's gonna be a little bidding war. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be the little. It's gonna be like a fucking romance novel, but instead of two hot jacked guys fighting over a petite hairless woman, which is also like middle aged. Instead of that, fighting over who's gonna get her, and then they both end up getting her, and then they both end up like all three making out with each other at once. I think that's what women read. I don't know. Instead of it being that, it's gonna be the CCP and the CIA arguing over who gets to make me, um, who gets to make me the forever military president of a subregion of Zimbabwe. That's what it's gonna be about now. I'm open to it, dude. I'm open to that romance novel, that love triangle between me and the CCP and the CIA. I want to be treated right, dude. I want to be wined and dined. I want to be finely wined and dined. All right, I don't drink wine, and I don't particularly like fine dining. Okay, by wine and dining, I mean fucking buy me some goddamn beef jerky and a fucking brisk lemonade from the Quick Trip. All right, that's what I mean by getting fine wined and dined by either side. And then you send my ass on over there, dude. Get me a nice, secure compound, and I'll rule that thing with an iron fist, and I'll get you all the whatever the fuck you need, dude. Whatever you need. And it's not going to be like some high dollar, precious metal type of thing. I'm going to be getting you like the backbone. I'm going to be getting you tin, like I said, zinc, sulfur, shit like that, I'm not going to be, because being like a gold dictator or like a diamond dictator or warlord or whatever, that comes with a lot of press, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be selling blood diamonds or anything like that. I want to be destroying the environment by strip mining for nickel, um, and sending it to foreign countries. That's what I want my dictatorship to be. All right, and we'll do an execution here or there just for a little bit of fun. You know what I mean? Just to get the people a little bit excited. You know, like I said, I'm probably not going to improve the lives of these people that much. I'm probably going to actively be destroying them when I'm the dictator, but it's going to be a fun destruction. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like the destruction we have going on in America right now, where it's just like a slow decline into nothingness. This is going to be some fun destruction, dude. I'm talking about like Dubai skyscraper. I'm gonna build the tallest skyscraper in the world, and it's gonna be made completely out of mud. And 30,000 people are gonna die when it collapses. Public executions, things like that. It's gonna be a fun downfall. All right, all drugs are gonna. I don't give a shit what you do. Do all the drugs you want. It's gonna be amazing. You know. So this is a benefit to everyone in this situation. These people's lives are already gonna be destroyed. They were born in Zimbabwe. It's done. It's over. The second it started, it was done. Right? So at least I'm at least gonna make their eventual death on like the dirt floor of their home. At least gonna let them have some good memories when they go out. And then obviously China or America, whoever gets me, hey, I'm open, dude. You know, take me to dinner. Get me a fine honey pot, dude. Um, yeah, whichever one it's going to be. I won't do it for Israel, though. That is the line that I won't cross. I won't do it for Israel. I don't know, because I feel like the honeypot. Look, Jewish chicks are hot. They do have like those big old titties and stuff. But I don't know. I would prefer a Chinese or an American honeypot. I'll take an Israeli one, but Israel, if you're sending me the Ashkenazi milker honeypot, just know I'm not. Yeah, I'll mess around, but I'm not doing it for Israel. But America's just an extension of Israel, but I at least want to be able to say, hey, was I the dictator of a state in Africa? Yes. But at least I did it for America or China. I'll do it for China too. But I won't do it for Israel. I won't do it for any European country. Maybe Australia. I don't know, but Australia, they're just doing the bidding of America too. So, but I'll do it. I'll become the dictator of the Muntatinga province in Malawi. I'll fucking do that shit. AK-47s for everyone, dude. The first rule I'm gonna implement. These pussy ass American fucking right wing politicians are talking about putting guns in classrooms, and what they mean by that is like The teacher's gonna get a gun. What kind of pussy ass bullshit is that, dude? When I become the dictator of the Matinga province, every kid's getting an AK-47, dude. Every child is getting an AK. And that's gonna be what it is, dude. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a fun downfall. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be the Wild West out there. Saloons. It's gonna be that. It's gonna be amazing. And instead of riding horses, we're gonna be driving 2001 Toyota Camrys around. And everyone's gonna have an Android cell phone, dude. That might be the one overall negative that comes out of this is everyone will have some shitty, like, not even Motorola, like 2 steps below Motorola Android cell phone that they're going to be able to use to take TikTok videos and try to scam Americans. That's going to be my cultural, you know what I mean, policy for the people. Is that we're going to ramp up the scamming. You know, we're going to get on it with AI and shit now. It's done. It's over. Everyone's phones are going to be overheating constantly because of all the AI videos they're trying to generate for all the scams that they're doing. It's going to be amazing. So that's my official resume. That's my official application to whatever intelligence agency or country is listening to this. Please, I can do it, dude. I can become an African dictator if you just let me. If you just give me that opportunity, send a few honey. But look, I'm not easy. You're gonna have to still send a few honeypots my way. Still give me a little bit of cash here and there. But if you can get me in there, if you can get me into fucking Mozambique, I can do it, dude. I can do it. But this is about the news. It's the topic of the current events episode. You know what I mean? We got to talk about what's going on. What's going on? We got Maduro, pretty sick. I said in the previous episode, if it ends there, then probably the sickest thing Trump's ever done. I just don't want another, like, Libya. You know what I mean? I don't want to, like, bomb these people into the Stone Age. And I don't want another Iraq or Afghanistan. But if it ends here and it was just America kidnapped this dude in the middle of the fucking night and then we got access to 300 billion barrels of oil, then I'm not exactly mad about that. You know what I mean? There could be worse things. You know, just kidnapping a dude in the middle of the night, that's sick. I don't care who you are. The president or dictator, really, of a country, even if it is a shitty country like Venezuela, just grabbing that dude in the middle of the night. Those dictatorships usually do have a strong military presence, though. You know what I mean? It's not like I could probably kidnap the president of fucking, you know, Namibia or some shit like that, because it's not like a real dictatorship. It's just kind of like a shitty, you know, third world, maybe second world country. But like usually like a real like Latin American dictatorship, they got like a strong military around them. But still, it's nothing compared to America, and really no military is. But we're talking about the news. And this first article we got from the BBC here, and this is Iran protests enter 9th day as Trump renews intervention threat. I mean, Trump is following in the footsteps of every president we've had. I mean, since like the 60s. Really every one of those presidents has gotten involved in a war with a country or a group of people that we created and that we funded. You know what I mean? Bush had Afghanistan. Obama had ISIS. You know, the Vietnam War presidents, they had the Viet Cong, who were basically trained and armed by the West. Originally it was World War II so they could fight the Japanese, but they had those guys. You know, every president ends up fighting an enemy that America directly created, not through like political, you know, legislation or whatever. We directly created these people. We literally gave them the guns and trained them how to kill people. And that's what we did in Iran. We overthrew the socialist, I don't fucking know, it was some sort of non-Islamist Iranian government. We overthrow those guys. We installed a new guy. And now Iran's not acting the way we want to, even though they are acting the way we wanted them to. So now we're going to get in a war with them. And I think that's a beautiful tradition that this country has. It's a beautiful tradition that America has to directly create an enemy, to literally last week have been giving them guns and fucking armored vehicles and stuff like that, and then get in a war with them the next week. That's beautiful tradition that our country has. And I'm just so thankful that Trump gets to cement his legacy in that way by by sending Americans to die fighting an enemy that we created. Um, for Israel. That's who they're dying for. They're not dying for us. Yeah, Iran can't touch us. Iran can barely touch Israel. All right, they're not gonna fucking touch us. And obviously, even the Trump people know this isn't like a humanitarian thing. Trump didn't kidnap Maduro in the middle of the night for humanitarian reasons. He's not gonna airstrike Iran for humanitarian reasons. I don't even think his biggest supporters are saying shit like that. Like his biggest supporters are saying like the whole Venezuela thing was like a flex on China and Russia and stuff like that. They're not even holding on to like the fake moral idea of it. They're fully like, yeah, we just did it because we wanted to. Right? That's what they're saying about it all. Yeah, I've got it a lot, but let's read a little bit of this article from the BBC. Should I try to read this in a British accent? I think I can do a British accent. So, a wave of protests sparked by Iran's failing economy has continued for a ninth day as President Donald Trump renewed his threat of U.S. intervention. Videos published online on Monday showed demonstrations in the capital Tehran and the southwest city of Yasuj. All right, wasn't a great British accent. I was going for like hot British chick reporter, like hot Asian British chick, BBC reporter. That's what I was going for. Which I haven't seen that too much of that, but I have seen a lot of Asian BBC stuff. I have. What? Dumbest joke ever. Um, but yeah, they're. This is like these protests are definitely funded by the U.S. or at least they're getting. Oh my god, dude! Just every orifice that air goes through in your body just like got blocked up in a moment when I was trying to talk. But these protests are probably like funded by America. If I had to guess, maybe a little bit of like some Israeli spies or something like that. A little bit of that stuff getting in there. They like to do that. The Israel's you got to give them a little bit of credit. They like to go. They're big fans of going undercover. Like America, we're a little bit more of like a just throw money at it and then be like, all right, figure it out. That's a little bit more of what we do. But the Israelis, they like going undercover up in there. You know what I mean? And especially like the places that they can. You know what I mean? Because they're not Middle Eastern. They're from Europe. And so they can't really blend in most places. But Iran, they're pretty pale over there in Iran. So they can go undercover and shit like that over there. And they're big fans of that. They like that. You know, they love acting. The Jews love acting, whether they're controlling Hollywood or fomenting a coup in Iran. They love acting and stuff like that. They love doing improv. You got to give them a little bit of credit for that. But human rights activists have said protests have taken place in 26 of the country's 31 provinces since last week, and that at least 19 protesters and one member of the security forces have been killed. Trump warned on Sunday night that Iranian authorities would be hit very hard if more protesters died. Yeah, this is just like considering like the Trump policy of just like running protesters over with Humvees. This is funny. This is pretty funny to really like for anyone to take this seriously and be like, no, he's going in there for human rights abuses. It is pretty funny to think that, and Trump likes the protesters when they're on his side, and everyone does, dude. Like that's kind of like one of the hallmarks of modern American politics is that everyone hates protesters until they're on their side. You know what I mean? When a bunch of people are blocking the highway so that hormones are free for trans kids, when that's happening, the right's like, you fucking, I hate you people so much, and you don't even know what the First Amendment's about, and you don't even believe in the Constitution. And then when a bunch of, I don't know, I can't think of any right wing protests actually. Once again, the left wing it just is so much more feminine. You know, it's just so much more chick shit of being like, I'm gonna scream and that's gonna get my way. Whereas the right wing maybe definitely goes a little bit further than the left does. You know what I mean? Um, but they're not as much. They're more of a shoot up like a school or some shit and then blow your head off. Although the left's getting into that too. The left's getting into the killing a bunch of random people who are like vaguely connected to the side that you don't like and then killing yourself. The left has been getting into that a little bit, but for a while that was like a right wing type of thing, type of activity. But the left has been getting into it. I don't know. Maybe the right's going to start protesting soon, but yeah, no one likes protesters when they're not on their side. Even if you aren't necessarily disagreeing with the things you're talking about, there is still like a certain amount of annoying bullshit that goes into it. You know what I mean? No matter who, and even if they are on your side, it's still a little bit like, Jesus, what are we doing here, dude? This is chick shit. Just going in a public place and screaming and being, look at me, look, wait, you know, it feels kind of chickish to me. Whereas, you know, a little bit more masculine of an activity might be clearing out an elementary school classroom than turning the barrel on yourself. It's a little bit more masculine. But all right. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States, he told reporters on Air Force One. On Monday, Iran's judiciary chief, holy shit, this name is insane. I feel like even by Middle Eastern standards, Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejai said authorities would listen to protesters and critics who legitimately and rightly have concerns about their livelihood and social and economic welfare. This is always like the funniest thing about dictatorships. Like, they'll be like, you're allowed to protest in our country. You just have to protest about the right thing, right? Like, that's a big thing that dictatorships will do. There's a clip of, and India is in a dictatorship, but they definitely do have like some weird, like ethno tribalism bullshit going on with their politics. But there's this clip of like some Indian politician talking about how the lady's like, Muslims don't have equal rights under the Indian constitution or whatever, and she says that to the guy, and the guy's like, there is equal rights for everyone, but only if you're equal. Like, it's like this weird, like a paradox, like a fucking, like a riddle a troll tells you, or some shit like that. There's like a little bit of that with dictatorships where it's like, you can protest if you have the right to protest. And it's like, well, do we have the right? And it's like, depends. Are you protesting against us or who are you protesting against? You know, like that's the sort of shit that like dictators have going on. And then African dictators are obviously like 10 times more funny. Like there's that one famous clip of the guy being like, there is no need to worry about corruption if I am involved, because this is the correct corruption. Like shit like that. God, I love dictators. They're so funny. They're always hilarious. You know what I mean? Like bad politicians. I can't think of a bad politician that wasn't at the very least fun. Like I guess Kamala, she tried to be funny, and she was also a bad politician, and so she sucked. But like Joe Biden, horrible leader, horrible. Even if you like, I kind of view the president as just like a little bit more of a mascot. But like, even as a mascot, horrible representation of this country, but fucking hilarious. Trump, horrible. I mean, just insane leader who's just, yeah, not a great leader, not a great representation of our country. Fucking hilarious. You know, I'm sure whoever the dictator is in Iran is fucking hilarious, dude. You know, bad, like shitty, horrible, really even people in general usually are at the very least funny, you know? And that's where I start to come into a little bit of issue is when they're not funny. I'm like, if you're going to be the dictator of Iran, you know what I mean? If you're going to be fucking using James Bond traps to kill women because they didn't wear their hijabs outside or whatever, if you're going to be doing that, you got to at least make a couple chuckles about it. You got to at least be like, finally, we found a way to make women stop complaining, and they're like, "How do you do it? Stone them to death." Like you got to at least do some shit like that if you're gonna be the brutal, theocratic dictator of a country in the Middle East. And that's what I would do if I was the fucking dictator of Africa. All right, I'd write down some notes from our guy, Ghulam Hassan, however the fuck you say that name. It's Persian, I'm guessing. I'm guessing it's not Arabic, but it seems a little bit Arabic or whatever. And you got to be like, you're only allowed to protest if you have the right to protest. That's kind of what you have to say. Funny shit, funny, weird, paradoxical, like shit like that. All right, so he says you're only allowed to protest if you're allowed to protest. That's basically what he said. And then he said, but he added that they would deal firmly with those who seek to exploit the situation, incite riots, and undermine the security of the country and the people. Rioters must know there will be no leniency or appeasement towards them, he warned. His comments echoed those of Iran's supreme leader, yeah, that's the guy's name, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who has declared that rioters should be put in their place. Yeah, he's gonna be putting these motherfuckers in their place, dude. Like, Muslims are cutting off heads for stealing loaves of bread. What the fuck do you think he's gonna do to a rioter who's trying to fuck with his authority? Yeah, dude, you're getting everything cut off. You're gonna be a nugget after this guy's done with you. All right. If you get your hand cut off for stealing a loaf of bread, you're getting everything cut off for rioting. So, the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman also accused Israel of seeking to undermine our national unity after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed his government's solidarity with the struggle of the Iranian people. Yeah, I mean, if they end up winning this one, if the Iranian people end up winning this one, they're going to be dealing with a whole lot more struggle from our boy Benjamin Netanyahu. He's like, I support you in your solidarity with the struggle of the Iranian people or whatever. And they're going to be under a whole new struggle. They're not going to be under a struggle anymore. They're going to be under rubble by the time old Benny Netanyahu's done with that with them, those boys. He's going to say, yeah, I'll give you something to cry about. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu's going to hit those boys with. Put them under a mound of rebar and concrete and shit like that. That's what our boy was going to do to him. Our boy. Look at me. I'm already getting close. Benjamin Netanyahu. Look, Israel. I know I said earlier I wouldn't fucking, take your opportunity to become a mineral dictator in Africa, but I don't know. I'm warming up to you guys a little bit. Like, Benjamin Netanyahu is pretty funny. Just being once again, horrible group of people. Pretty funny. The excuses that they come up with and the shit they have to say about the things they've done are always so funny. They're like, yeah, we killed a hospital full of kids, but there was a bunch of AK-47 ammo underneath the hospital, dummies. What else do you expect us to do in a war? Do you expect us to sacrifice soldiers' lives in a war? How fucking ridiculous is that? No, we're going to kill everybody. The excuses and the reasoning they have is always funny. So, yeah, I guess we're doing sanctions on them and some bullshit. Whatever. Who cares? Another forever war in the Middle East. Let's go. Come on, dude. I told you. We're making a return to the early 2000s. If Miami wins the national championship, we're going back to the early 2000s. And we're going to have forever wars in the Middle East. Hopefully, look, you're not going to be able to buy a house like in the early 2000s, but you might sneak in a condo. You might be able to get like a townhouse or some shit like that. You might be able to sneak some of that in if we make that return to the early 2000s. I think we can do it, dude. Everyone needs to hope that Miami wins the national championship this year. We need that. We need the return to the early 2000s. He was a skater boy. You guys don't want fucking Avril Lavigne to make a comeback? He wasn't good enough for her. We need that. So, Colorado mom of 6 paralyzed in freak snowboarding accident. This is from CBS News. A Castle Rock woman is paralyzed from the neck down and on life support after a snowboarding accident in Keystone last week. According to loved ones, Sandra Prokofy is an avid snowboarder, owner of a hardwood business in her Colorado town, and a mother of 6 young children. Fuck. No. Don't say it. Okay, when I heard Colorado mother of 6 paralyzed, I was kind of thinking like, dumbass bitch, dude. That's what I was thinking. But in this article, I'm scrolling down and I'm seeing a picture of her, and I hear the hardwood business thing, and I'm like, is this chick a lesbian? Is this a lesbian who adopted 6 kids? Is it like, is that what it is? No, dude. Or yes, it is that. It's not what I was hoping for. I was just hoping for like some dumbass bitch who's got like a rich ass husband or whatever, and she just like paralyzed herself on the way that I would have been able to joke about that situation and take it lightly. But when I see a Colorado lesbian who definitely drives like a beat up old minivan with like stickers on the window and shit and a short crew cut, that pisses me off, dude. These they're an endangered species. You know what I mean? This is like hearing about like the last turtle, like the last giant Chinese turtle or whatever dying in a zoo. Like that's God, we lost a good one. We lost a real fucking rug munching, wife beaten dyke, and I love them. That's my favorite. I don't like any group of people in this country more than I love fucking real lesbians, dude. Studs, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the studs, but just short haired, you know what I mean? Wearing clothes from Walmart type of lesbian, that's my favorite group of people in this country. So she's an unbelievable mom. She's literally a super mom. She does absolutely everything for her kids. They're so insanely active. This bitch is probably raising the most masculine fucking kids you've ever seen in your entire life. She's got all of her kids are fucking six packed out, jacked. They're all on the football team. Daughters, sons, doesn't matter. They're all middle linebackers on the football team. This football team saw this bitch's 6 kids and said, "We got middle linebackers for the next decade." All right, that's the type of lady this chick is. So her brother said that, and he says that Sandra is the quintessential Colorado mom to her 6 children. It's the whole army. She has 5 boys and a little girl," said Robert. Her big thing was definitely snowboarding, but she was a huge hiker, swimmer, runner, you name it. Her passion for snowboarding has rubbed off on her kids. Yeah, this is a tragic, tragic loss. Um, Doesn't say if the kids are adopted or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not gonna fucking check, but yeah, this is a tragic loss. These lesbians like that are the last bastion of masculinity in this country. Lesbians like that beat their wives and not all of them obviously, but a fair amount of them beat their wives and girlfriends. She probably loves drinking light beers. She She's out here snowboarding and shit like that. Definitely not a vegan. This bitch can grill like nobody's business. All right, I'm guessing. Not anymore. Not unless they add like a fucking robot spatula to her wheelchair. But she could grill like nobody's business. She's like, eat your fucking brat, all right? God damn. I don't care if you want a hot dog. You got a brat anyway. Like that's the type of lesbian this chick was, dude. Dogs, big loud ass dogs that just they're nice dogs, but they're not trained very well. Like that's the type of dogs that these lesbians have. Big, loud, but like nice dogs. They're not going to attack you or anything. They can feel they can feel just the pure fucking high test lesbian masculinity, and they know not to fuck around. Those dogs know not to fuck around when that bull dyke is. She's not a bull dyke, but she's big old. She's a she looks like an Air Force like captain. You know what I mean? She's not in the Marines, but she definitely seems like she could have served in the Air Force or some shit like that. That's the look this chick has. And it's just tragic to see her go. I love them. I love lesbians like that. So Epstein Files, 2 million records in various stages of review, whatever. I don't even know why I clicked on this fucking article. I don't care about the Epstein thing. Or I do, but it's like, you know nothing's going to happen. All right, we know nothing's going to happen, dude. And this country just continues to go into a downward spiral where the Epstein files aren't released. And then I found out that a fucking Colorado Subaru driving lesbian got paralyzed in a snowboarding accident. And then I find out, I don't know what else I find out. But and I find out we're getting into a forever war with the Middle East and South America at the same time. And it just keeps going down, downward spiral. Not even a spiral. We're not even fucking granted that. At least a spiral is fun. This is just a downward plunge into nothingness where the lesbians who hold up this country are getting paralyzed in snowboarding accidents. Israel did this to that woman. They know that this woman is a true fucking American patriot who's going to raise the sickest fucking kids you've ever seen in your entire life. And she owns a goddamn flooring store, and they paralyzed her in a snowboarding accident, and I will not stand for it. I will not stand for it. All right. Pretty mid episode, but I hope everyone listening has a good day, a good week, a good year, a good life, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Ping.